So, Chris,
Yes, Kyle.
lots of markets are starting to shift. We're seeing some market conditions that are much different than they have been for the last 3 or 4 years. And with that, we're seeing some homes that aren't selling in hours, sometimes taking days, weeks.
And they don't all have 40 offers on them.
Right, yeah, a little resetting of standards. But with that, I think as real estate professionals, we're having to do a little bit more. We're having to fill the time, show sellers that we're doing everything we can to get their homes sold. And the best way we found to do that is with a property marketing plan. So can you tell us what a property marketing plan is?
I can tell you what a property marketing plan is. It's actually really simple because a property marketing plan is just a list, the laundry list of everything that you're going to do to list, market, and sell that home. Now, there's a little bit more nuance to it because when you think about what are all the things that need to go into a property marketing plan, well, it's going to include things like what are you doing to help prepare the home to get it ready for sale, right? What are the things that you're going to do to help that client get that home ready for sale? Is staging involved, right? There might be some repairs involved. Now you have to decide what your contribution is going to be to that because you might be looking at, okay, well, I got to get the photography done, I got to get the drone footage done, I've got to get the tour software done or the 3D floor plan done. And so all of that can go into your property marketing plan. You're going to include things like what are the ongoing activities that you will do to market the home. You might even include things like what are the marketing assets that we have as a individual, as a team, as a firm to be able to help that seller market that home. So to summarize it, Kyle, it's basically our general plan to get the home sold.
Right. I think I've seen it, everything from, a conversation and a listing presentation to an actual document.
Well, for us, it's a document.
Right.
It's definitely a document because I want it to be something physical or digitally physical, right? In that sense, I want them to be able to interact with it. I also want it to be something that is thorough, right? So, depending on the individual, they might just scan it if they're not a detailed person, but if they're the engineering type, they're going to read through the entire thing. In a little bit, we'll talk about sort of the benefits of what happens. But when we do that, and by the way, one of the things that I like to do is I like to include our property marketing plan, for example, in our pre-listing packet. Our pre-listing packet is what we send to a prospective seller before we go on the listing appointment.
Well, I think that's a good segue. So why don't we talk about why we use a property marketing plan and sort of the benefits to it?
Well, it has a lot. Like I think of a property marketing plan as one of those superpower tools because when you have a property marketing plan, you are essentially giving yourself superpowers or superhero powers, and we'll get into those things. But essentially what you're doing is you're getting recognized, you're being that listing expert agent, and you start to stand out in the marketplace in a very, very different way. Now, the first why behind using the property marketing plan is it communicates your value in a way that you can't, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, when I say to communicate your value, that's something that we all have to do as service professionals, right? We have to be able to communicate to our clients our value because we need to give them reasons to hire us. We actually have to give them concrete reasons. This is why you're hiring me, and that's how we communicate our value.
That's how we fight the perception, too, that some people have of, oh, you just put a sign in the yard.
Exactly. So there's a unfortunate perception, and it's because there are people who do this, that, as a real estate professional, when you're going to list and market my home, you're just going to put a sign in the yard, you're going to put it in the MLS, and you're going to pray that it sells. And that is not ultimately what we do. And the property marketing plan is how we can show them that that's not what we do. We show them everything that we do, right? And what that does is it gives people concrete reasons to hire us. And, when you're going through that listing process, trying to win that listing, you are trying to convey to that prospective seller that I can sell the home, that you will sell the home, that you will get the results that they want when you sell the home, and your plan becomes the rationale, the evidence of how you're going to do it.
It's no longer a question in the seller's mind. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
They have the exact list of everything you will do to get their home sold.
Well, interesting thing, when the seller knows everything that you're going to do, a lot of times, first off, they're surprised at how much is involved. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that this much goes into selling a home. Well, that's what professionals do, right? Then what that allows us to do is to combat the age-old objection of, will you discount your fees? People ask if we will discount our fees when they think we do the same thing as everybody else, when we've been commoditized.
Right.
Well, we're using our property marketing plan to show them that we are not a commodity, that all real estate agents are not created equal, and that we are professionals able to take care of our seller clients' interests.
And so you're recommending that we actually give this to sellers before we have a listing agreement in place.
Yes.
Are you concerned that they're going to try to FSBO it, or they're going to take it and show it to another agent they want to work with?
Good luck is what I would say. Good luck to you. Here's the thing. And we as professionals have to address this insecurity issue. And it's this. We can't let fear of the competition prevent us from communicating our value. You see, if we let fear of the competition prevent us from communicating our value, we don't communicate our value, and we don't give our prospective clients the specific reasons why they should hire us. And so with a tool as powerful as a property marketing plan, I know the concern would be they could take this and run with it. But when they look at it, they're usually going to say, wow, that's a lot there. And if they were to share that with another agent, good luck to that agent. Good luck to that.
So what I'm hearing is this actually becomes a tool that makes you stand out from the competition. As soon as they have it, they're not looking any other direction.
It's a great point. So what happens is when you share that property marketing plan, you're actually resetting the expectations that that seller has of every other agent they might interact with.
Now everyone else is getting judged against what you're offering.
I like to call that ethically sabotaging the competition. Now, here's the great thing. Once you get comfortable and you're cool with sending your property marketing plan out, you can actually send it out to more than just prospective sellers. You can actually send this out to your contacts and your connections. Why would you want to do that, you might say? Well, I'll tell you exactly why. Because your property marketing plan can become a tool for your clients to refer you with. Meaning that your client, right, if they encounter somebody in their life that's thinking of selling their home, and you've recently sent that property marketing plan out to that client, or that person in your sphere of influence, guess what? Instead of saying, hey, you should work with Kyle, they can say, hey, you should work with Kyle. In fact, he's got this great property marketing plan. Let me send it to you. See, they have a personal incentive to help their friend, and that property marketing plan, just by forwarding it along, is a way for them to help their friend. And so now that is why it becomes a referral tool. We oftentimes, as real estate professionals, make it hard to refer us. You know, sometimes we don't like to stay in touch with people so they forget who we are. We don't necessarily want to give them marketing and tools to be able to share about the services that we provide. But the property marketing plan becomes a very shareable referral tool that you can use to cultivate more recommendations, more referrals, specifically listing referrals, seller referrals, to get more of those listing leads.
And it makes perfect sense to me if you're giving a seller the document that shows exactly all the things you're going to do that no one else is doing. When one of their friends comes time to list a home, they're going to be like, oh, well, Chris did all of these things for me, and I sold my home for more than the conversation we had, or whatever.
Exactly.
They have that thing to pass along to anyone who asks.
So what happens is, does everybody know a real estate agent? Of course, statistically speaking, everybody knows more than one, right? And so when that's the case, we have to be because everybody knows somebody who sells real estate. It's very important that we reach a certain level of, a certain level of awareness with our clients. I like to use the concept of being omnipresent through our marketing, through our conversations, through the activities that we do in our real estate practice in front of our contacts and connections. And the reason we want to be omnipresent, which just means that they can't go too far in their life without bumping into us, whether it's online, on social media, heck, in their real life, whether it's going to church, whether they're going to the grocery store. We don't want too much time to pass before they bump into us on Facebook, bump into us on Instagram, come across our website, see us in email, see us in our messages. And so when that happens, we're always top of mind. So when we're top of mind, here's what happens. When they think of real estate, they automatically think of us. And when they think of us, they automatically think of real estate. And that's a good first step. But what we want to do now is to elevate what we do. We want to be able to elevate the perception of what we do to our contacts and connections. We want to be that consummate professional. We want to be that listing expert agent. And the way we can do that is sharing some of the tools that we use as professionals, like our property marketing plan, with our contacts and connections, because all of a sudden it resets their standard expectation of who we are and what we do, right? Because most people don't know what people in real estate do. They think we look at houses and stuff like that, right? You know, they have examples from TV of what we always do, and that's, you guys know, that's not actually what we do. So by giving them a property marketing plan, even when they're not in transaction with us, it helps them understand what's truly involved with getting them to where they want to go with their real estate goals.
And so, Chris, you touched on it briefly, but we understand what the property marketing plan is and some of the base reasons why we should use it. It's also a tool that we can use for marketing in broader terms for that sort of achieving that omnipresent status that you wanted, among other things. So do you want to get into how we actually use the property marketing plan and some hands-on examples?
There's the great thing about a property marketing plan is it's such a versatile tool. I mean, we can use this for everything from handling price reductions, right, as using a script for price reductions, to the actual marketing to get listing leads, right? It's a very versatile tool. So let's take a look at some of the different ways we can use it.
Why don't we start with the first one you mentioned? We kicked it off by sort of talking how we could combat that will you discount your commission question. There's even more you can do with it. So let's talk about, price reductions if you have to have that conversation with the seller.
We'll do the first one. So the discount your commission one, right? It's a great objection handler, so to speak, because when someone asks for a a reduction in your fees, right? When someone asks you a reduction in your commission, at that point, there's one of two things happening. One is they don't understand what we do, or two, they just feel like they have to ask for a discount. And so when we can use the property marketing plan to educate that seller. See, the more education they have about the process of selling the home and how we're going to help make that happen, the more informed they are. And when we fill them in with all of the details about what we do, they're not going to be working from a space of, what's the word? Not negligence, ignorance.
Like ignorance,
Yes. See, they won't be operating from ignorance. When we operate from ignorance, we oftentimes put in the worst possible case scenario.
You make assumptions.
Exactly.
Right.
And they're usually not in our favor in real estate. So here's the thing. What we can do is just by sharing that property marketing plan, if someone were to ask, hey, will you discount your fees? What you can say is this: hey, you know what? We put a lot of effort, a lot of investment into making sure that we're going to get we're going to reach the outcomes that you want to have. And so what we have to do is make sure we attend to all of the details that we've outlined in that property marketing plan. And there is cost associated with doing that, which is why we use all of those activities that we're going to use in our property marketing plan to get the results that we're going to get for you. Now, if you look at the results that we produce compared to the typical agent, right, we outperform the market on average, which is why, and I'm using this property marketing plan to outperform the average. So what we can say is we point to that property marketing plan and we use that as our rationalization to say, hey, I'm going to use that property marketing plan to outpace and out-earn on average what the typical agent would net you. And so would you like to go through that property marketing plan again so we can see all those things involved, or would you like to move forward? And what that does is it places and reminds them of the work that we're going to do. See, a request to discount our fees is oftentimes disconnected from the knowledge of the actual work that we're going to do. So when they understand that work, they're usually not going to even ask. But if they were to, you have that to fall back on. Now, let's shift gears and talk about price reductions and how we might be able to use this to handle a price reduction.
Yeah, I think that's great because some of those conversations are actually happening now in some markets where they haven't been in, the past few years. So how can we use a property marketing plan to ease that conversation, ease, sellers' objections and fears around it, make it smoother overall?
Well, the best way and the best time to do it is before you have that listing agreement and before you start marketing that property. It is during your listing appointment process. And what you can do is explain, hey, we're going to implement everything in this property marketing plan to get the results and outcomes that you want. Now, if we do everything that's in this property marketing plan and we're seeing that we're not getting traction, that's the market telling us, that's the market giving us feedback that we have to revise our pricing strategy. And so we're going to, and at this point in time, I'm making the recommendation to make a pricing adjustment to the new price, if that makes sense.
I see. It's almost, well, it's not even a sneaky way. It's just saying exactly what's happening, but it's taking the responsibility off of you,
Yes.
the agent, and putting it onto the market and the process.
Right.
We agree on this process. If this doesn't get us what we want, the market's telling us that we're out of the range.
Well, here's the thing. If we were to go and ask for that price reduction and they didn't have knowledge of what we do, the first thing they're going to think to themselves is, well, you're not doing anything. Of course it's not selling, right? So in absence of that information, they're going to assume that we're not doing anything and that we got to go try harder, right? They're not going to see that it is the actual price that is the issue. But when they understand everything that we are currently and actively doing through that property marketing plan, now they can also say, I guess it must be the market's telling us this feedback, right? So now you can be on the same page. You're essentially unagi with your clients, right? So the best time to be able to handle that price reduction is before. So you can explain that before you start to market the home so the expectation is there. Like, oh, this might happen. Now, let's say you already listed the home at a certain price and the market shifts and now it's not selling at that price.
Right.
Well, again, use that same property marketing plan, bring it out and say, hey, remind the client of everything that we're going to do. Hey, I wanted just to review everything that we're doing through our property marketing plan to list, market, and sell your home. And here's the feedback we're getting back from the market now. We're doing all of this, but we're not getting the showings. And what that's telling us is that we need to revise the pricing strategy for the home. Right? So now we can place the blame on the market. They can accept that because they understand that we've been working our butts off for them, okay? And it makes the conversation so much easier because you've given them the proof, the evidence that they need to say, okay, this is the right decision.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. So price reductions can happen. Another thing that's happening in this market, stubborn listings, listings that just refuse to
Yes.
budge. How can the property marketing plan help with that?
So here's the thing. If our understanding of marketing a home is to just put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, and pray that it sells, that's not an effective strategy. We like to joke around and say that's the old 3 Ps of selling real estate. And so that doesn't work. What we have to do is take a far more assertive, aggressive approach when it comes to marketing the home, especially in markets where there's some shift taking place, especially where there's maybe increasing inventory, right? And so what we need to do at that point in time is get a little bit more creative and just put forth more effort, right? And so our property marketing plan is going to give us the guidance, right? It's our own checklist of what we do to market that home. Now, you may not be doing that yourself. Maybe you have a transaction coordinator. Maybe you have a marketing person. Maybe you have somebody at the firm that does that support for you. And you want to make sure that they're doing those things that are in your property marketing plan. And you can even use that as a place of innovation to say, all right, I see that more and more people are going to social media these days. So I'm going to include social media placements as part of my marketing, right? You might say, oh, I notice a lot of people wanting to watch video these days. And I'm going to include getting video and marketing video in my property marketing plan. So it allows us to be innovative in our approach, and we can communicate that. That's how we can even use that just to stand out because, oh, we do video, I do this, right? You can just use those marketing angles as your points of differentiation.
Chris, you just mentioned differentiation.
Mm-hmm.
And the property marketing plan can actually play a key role in that when going on actual listing appointments.
Yes.
So how does the property marketing plan play into going on listing appointments
Right.
and that process?
So, throughout this conversation, it's hopefully it's become apparent that our property marketing plan is a point of differentiation for us. It's something that's unique that makes us stand out, or it can become the thing that is unique that makes us stand out. And so hopefully that has come across in our conversation today. But what we can do now is use the fact that it is a differentiator, right? So like it's a tool to differentiate us. We can now include this specifically in different areas of our real estate practice. So the first one that comes to mind, for example, is our listing process. What I mean is that by that is our listing appointment process. You know, for us, our listing appointment process looks like this. We have an initial phone conversation with them just to qualify them, go through the discovery process, gather some information, and do our fact finding. From there, we send them our property marketing plan that's included with our pre-listing packet. And then we go on the listing appointment and we have our listing presentation that we walk through that revisits that property marketing plan. And then typically we like to walk away with a signed listing agreement. And so just in that listing process, that listing appointment process, you heard me refer to the property marketing plan 2 or 3 times, right? You heard me refer to it because I will be talking about it during our initial consultation because I'm going to say, hey, I'm sending you my pre-listing packet. You're going to get this information. Included in there is my property marketing plan. Be sure to check it out. We'll talk about that when we get together for our listing appointment. So I'm talking about it during our initial consultation. They receive it in the pre-listing packet, and then we're revisiting it and reviewing it again and seeing if they have any questions during the actual listing appointment. So it becomes one of those sort of cornerstone tools in our listing appointment process. Now, another area that we can use this is not just in our listing appointment process, but in our listing lead generation process.
How does it work in that process?
So what we can do is as we start to focus on trying to recruit more sellers, we can use that property marketing plan as an incentive or a carrot, so to speak, to reach out to us, or a call to action. What do I mean by that? I mean that let's say we're doing a social media post and we're going to feature a listing that we're bringing to the market. Hey, I've got this listing, just brought it to the market. If you have any questions about it. So that's one way to go about doing it. Now, if you wanted to position yourself like a listing expert agent, you would say, we've got this new listing. It's on the market. Here's some details about it. If you're curious about the property marketing plan that I use to get my seller clients the results that they want, DM me, which stands for direct message me. So send me a message and I'll be happy to forward that along, right? So we can use it in our calls to action. If you're sending an email out to your database, for example, letting them know some updates about what's going on, one of your updates can be, hey, I recently updated my property marketing plan. And I just wanted to make sure you have this, whether you are curious about what goes into selling a home or if you have a friend or family member who's thinking of moving who could benefit from this property marketing plan, please pass it along, right? So we can start to use this throughout our marketing, whether it's on social media, whether it's on our website, whether it's in our emails, all the activity that we do, right, when it comes to either marketing listings or marketing to get listings, we can reference our property marketing plan as that call to action. So it becomes a really versatile tool.
It makes a lot of sense. You can really sneak it in everywhere. And it's just that I've found lots of people have an aversion to being very in-your-face marketing, right? Like they don't want to say, hey, contact me. Hey, look at me over here. This is just a way of showcasing the value you provide and giving people a very good reason to reach out to you based on that value.
I like to think of it as marketing from the position or attitude of service. So when we serve our clients, when we serve our contacts and our connections, and we're in that position of service, we still get the same marketing touch point. It's just, it feels different to them. Instead of us talking about how great we are, we're actually just focusing on providing value to them, providing them with tools, helping educate them, right? We have that servant's heart, and what that does, the touch point still happens, but we are seen very differently. We're seen as professionals because professionals care. Professionals care about their clients. Professionals care about their clients more than they do themselves when it comes to putting their clients' interests before their own. And we have to do that in real estate in order to serve our clients. So I find it to be far more effective to begin the process of finding clients from a position of service, right, from the attitude of service, than it is from the attitude of I'm so awesome. If that makes sense.
And the property marketing plan is just one tool that makes it very easy to do that. Man, you can really put this thing anywhere. I'm thinking of like just listed campaigns on top of everything else we've talked about. I'm sure everyone listening has ideas already of how they can fit it into their own processes.
When you sit down and think about all the potential touch points of where you could offer your property marketing plan to people, it's probably an infinite amount, right? It's limited only by your own creativity and how many places you can offer that property marketing plan. And like I said, a lot of times I like to have it just constantly being referred to out there because even if somebody doesn't request the property marketing plan, the fact that they see that I have one and that I use it to market listings right? Again, that differentiates. It's a subtle distinguisher. It could just be in a simple social media post saying, hey, I am using this property marketing plan to market this listing to get great results for my clients. It just lets people know that I have it, right? It lets people know that I have it.
Okay, Chris, we've talked a ton about property marketing plans. I hope by now everybody's convinced that they need one for everything they do, listing related, marketing related. If somebody wants to skip the process of making ones themselves, how can they skip the process of doing it all themselves? Do we have something we can offer them?
We definitely do, Kyle. If you would like to have our property marketing plan template so that you can start standing out as a listing expert agent, then try our marketing club today for just $1 for 14 days. Our marketing club is going to give you the tools, the know-how, and the marketing to generate listings, to generate leads, and to sell more homes. And when you try the marketing club for just $1 today for 14 days, I will gift you with our property marketing plan template so that you can start using it to generate more listings, more leads, and stand out in your market as a listing expert agent.